Welcome to our very first college counseling seminar. It's our hope that this new way of sharing information will engage a wider parent audience, as we know how busy everyone's schedules are these days. So I want to first thank all of you who have joined us tonight on the webinar for going on this new adventure with our office. Our ultimate goal in college counseling at Augusta Prep is to help students find a great fit in college. But I also think that one of the most important roles that we can play is ensuring peace in the process. This can all be pretty overwhelming, which is why we aim to break it down piece by piece. So first, a little housekeeping. If this is your first webinar, you should see a Q&A or chat box on the top of your screen. Please feel free to type any questions as they come up, but know that I will answer any of these logged questions at the end of the webinar. And if at any time you need to log out, please feel free to do so. This webinar is being recorded for future use and will be posted and shared to the parent community. I do intend for this to last no more than 30 to 45 minutes. So no pun intended on the housekeeping piece just now, but I'm going to borrow a house metaphor from Sal Khan, the founder of Khan Academy. I had the privilege of seeing him speak at a national conference that I attended last year. And he equated student proficiency in math to the foundation of a house. He said that if you're building a house and the inspector comes to survey the foundation and finds weaknesses, you don't keep building. You fix the foundation. So let's consider high school and the college admissions process in the same way. Ninth grade is building the core foundation, transitioning to the rigor and demand of high school and focusing on academic coursework. That is the best way to spend the freshman year, forming healthy habits. In the sophomore year, we've crept into student lives more and more, and that's the goal of tonight, to help you anticipate our involvement and encourage you to engage with our student and parent programming as we begin to dive deeper into the college admissions process. We'll start to help construct the walls of this house. Our main objective tonight is to outline the PSAT 10, but first, let's look at some of our programming. As you know, your students completed the U-Science profile between Thanksgiving and Christmas break. This profile measures student aptitudes and makes career recommendations. It can be a valuable piece in helping them learn how to better involve themselves in high school and beyond. As you know, tonight we'll talk about the PSAT 10, which they will take in March. And in the fall, we'll go on our junior retreat, which is a college tour. I will give out more information about the planned trip later this spring. We also have junior college counseling seminars that we have each month for the junior class. Those take place during the study hall periods once a month in the library computer lab. We will take the PSAT National Merit Scholarship qualifying test in October. There will be a mandatory parent meeting, the junior college kickoff, which that date will be announced at a later time. And also, please be sure that you're receiving our college counseling newsletters. You'll begin to receive those every month with important reminders for each kind of to-do list for each month in the junior and senior years. I also encourage you to follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at APDS College, where we share important articles and reminders, and when we go on different college tours, we send Snapchat so that the students can see where we are. So next I want to give you a visual of how these next 4 years, or 3 years I guess, of high school will ultimately culminate in the fall of senior year. I'm really a visual learner, and since this process can be incredibly overwhelming, I hope tonight will allow you to understand it in a different way. It's easy to look at the big picture, read the news, or listen to your friends and colleagues and think this is all just too much. But if we break down and look at the college admissions look at the college admissions process piece by piece, considering the next steps and anticipating what's to come, my hope is that you'll see how magically it all comes together. I know you're probably rolling your eyes and thinking that I'm crazy, and that's just another good reason that we're on a webinar and you're on your couch in your sweatpants. So when your students are applying to college, schools are looking at more than just numbers. It's a holistic process, which means they're looking at the whole picture. So you can see that in this diagram here. The student's academic profile is showcased in the transcript, test scores, teacher recommendations, secondary school report, and the counselor recommendation. The extracurricular personality of a student highlights how they are spending their time outside of the classroom. Athletics, service clubs, academic clubs, leadership, maybe a part-time job. These are things that will be articulated in an actual application in a student's activities listing, a resume which we will help them construct in their junior year, and my recommendation letter as their college counselor. To tie all of these things together, the students will write essays and short answer questions specific to the college to which they are applying. We take over English classes early in the senior year to get them jazzed up about writing essays and utilizing their unique voice. And the majority of our time in the fall is spent working one-on-one with seniors as they complete applications. We ensure that all recommendation letters, transcripts, and necessary school reports are sent. So, since we have some work to do that just can't be done right now, let's talk about the two things that we really can work on right now as sophomores. Hopefully, students are beginning to find meaningful activities to fill their time outside of the classroom. Football, volleyball, swimming, community service, maybe building robots in their free time. No matter what they do, they should do it because they enjoy it and give the things that they love all that they've got. There is nothing more disappointing as a college counselor than working with seniors and finding that they have spent all of their precious time engaged in things that really don't matter to them. It's kind of difficult to write an exciting and heartfelt essay on something that means nothing to you. On the flip side, the students who have the best experiences in the application process and find the best fits are those who have things that they are excited and passionate about because their enthusiasm flows over into those essays. It's really, really incredible to see. So if students love being outdoors, I say consider joining up with a conservation group. If you love building things, maybe helping Mr. Mack build sets for the next play is a great fit, or looking into Habitat for Humanity. That could be a great option too. If you have no idea what you love or what direction you want to go, Use Science has been a really great tool to help students discover the things they might enjoy. So parents, please dig into your students' profiles through their online portals. Use Science gives students information on how to utilize their aptitudes in their lives through social, school, and work endeavors. Sophomore advisors will soon send you an email with students' personal full 31-page report, so be on the lookout for that in your email. If students are interested in a cool summer program, whether it's at a college or traveling abroad, we keep a wealth of information in our office and have encouraged your sons and daughters to not just check the board outside of the upper school office that's covered in posters and advertisements, but also ask their advisors or check in with Ms. Vaughn or me for some really great ideas. The other piece of the puzzle that is really the core of a student's foundation is their academic profile. Hopefully, sophomores are getting more comfortable with the expectation and routine of high school at Augusta Prep. The academic profile includes both the transcript or a student's everyday academic performance. I like to call it their thumbprint, as well as any required standardized testing. When we think about grades, I always encourage students to consider their individual grades in a class rather than their GPA. Because of the way we weight courses in our GPA at Augusta Prep, it can be different from the way a college might recalculate things. We can have another whole webinar on that. So the point is, simplify it and focus on doing well in each class, and your GPA is going to be just fine. Next year, as juniors, students have the opportunity to take a couple of more AP classes, and they should consider adding rigor in a way that is appropriate for their interests and goals. If a student has an interest in engineering or anything in the STEM fields, they should prepare themselves for the most rigorous science and math curriculum. If you're a lover of language and culture, consider adding another foreign language to the mix. It is all about balance, and what is best for one student is not always best for someone else. We encourage students to talk to their advisors or us if they have any questions or concerns about their course plans. Next up is testing. We will guide you through every step of this process, and we will start with the PSAT 10 on March 8th. We will dive deeper into the specifics of the PSAT 10 in just a moment, but I want to first mention that any students who are currently taking AP World History may consider taking the World History subject test at the end of this year. Only the most selective colleges require SAT subject tests. Parents, we remember them as SAT 2s, but we recommend that students considering highly selective schools consider this as it is an appropriate time with the completion of their AP coursework. Those tests are offered in June, and I will visit the AP World class in the coming weeks to remind them to consider this possibility. As juniors, students will take the PSAT that qualifies them for the National Merit Scholarship Program in October and begin with the SAT and ACT in January of their junior year. The following chart will show you a very basic timeline of the next year. The top denotes recommended testing for sophomores and juniors, with the 2 PSATs being automatic when it comes to registration. We will delve deeper into SAT and ACT testing plans in the fall of junior year, but it is important for you to know that the recommended timeline to begin the actual SAT and ACT is the spring semester of junior year. The bottom denotes some of our programming for the class of 2019. First, we'll have a program for the 9th and 10th grades during extended break on March 10th. An admissions representative from Georgia College will outline what colleges look for in applicants with the hope of educating the students about the admissions process and encouraging them to make the most of high school. I encourage all students to attend private visits that college reps schedule at Augusta Prep. These usually take place throughout the first couple of months of the fall semester, and we keep them up to date on our college counseling calendar online. Additionally, you'll see that we'll head out on our college tour next fall. Again, the list of schools will be finalized later this spring. Additionally, we'll have the monthly college counseling seminars with the junior class, where we further break down the process, helping them complete student resumes, educating them about standardized testing and transcripts, and of course, doing research on colleges to build a healthy and exciting list of potential schools. You will also notice that in the spring of 2018, we begin one-on-one meetings with your class. In January, between January and winter break, we will have one-on-one meetings with every junior, and then begin team meetings with parents, students, and college counselors after winter break. So now for the fun part. The PSAT 10 will take place on the morning of Wednesday, March 8th, and students should arrive to school by 7:45 a.m. so that we can begin testing promptly at 8. Some of the benefits of the PSAT are, first and foremost, that it is pure practice for the SAT. This current senior class was the first to take the redesigned SAT last spring, and the PSAT 10 and PSAT that juniors take in October are also redesigned to align with the SAT. If students opt into the Student Search Service with registration, which I highly recommend, they will have increased access to colleges and scholarships. Additionally, the College Board partnered with Khan Academy with the redesign of the SAT, so students now have personalized practice based on their actual test when they link their College Board accounts to Khan Academy. As you can see, the PSAT is 2 hours and 45 minutes. That is shorter than the current SAT. And you can see that the max that a student can score on the PSAT 10 is a 1520. This aligns with the max SAT score of 1600. I'll show you a visual on that in just a moment. The 3 main skills tested on the PSAT are reading, writing and language, and math. The intention of the redesigned SAT is to better assess the academic skills that students are learning through their coursework. These are the very skills that the ACT has always measured. With the 60-minute reading test, students will read passages and interpret informational graphics. They will use what they've read to answer those questions. While they are multiple choice, some questions ask students to locate a piece of information or an idea stated directly. They'll also need to understand what the author's words imply. In other words, it will be important to read between the lines. The writing and language test is 35 minutes long and is also a multiple choice section. It will ask students to be an editor and improve passages that were written especially for the test and that include deliberate errors. Most math questions will be multiple choice, but some are called grid-ins. The grid-ins ask students to come up with the answer rather than select the answer. Some parts of the math test include several questions about a single scenario, and the math test is 70 minutes and is divided into two portions, one with a calculator and one without. So, to compare the PSAT to the real deal, you can see that it is shorter in time, it does not have the optional essay portion, and the sections are scored from 160 to 760 rather than 200 to 800. Because the PSAT 10 is measuring student performance where they are right now, the scaled score is a reflection of that. If a sophomore were to take the actual SAT on the same day, March 8th, the linear scale pictured above articulates how the PSAT assessments reflect grade-appropriate shifts in the score scales. We will discuss your students' scores with you individually, specifically in preparing them for the initial testing in the spring of their junior year. So, what to do now? Remember first and foremost that this is practice. Colleges are not going to see these scores, but we want students to do their very best because the testing profile does help us to better guide them in the process of choosing how to move through the testing in their junior and senior year, as well as building a prospective college list. Sophomores received a PSAT student guide in Ms. Bell's class last week. They are also encouraged to read through it, and it even includes a practice test. So, parents, if you have not seen this, I asked all of them the other day if they had received it, and those who had not picked one up. So you should ask your students to look through their student guides. Additionally, I encourage you to become familiar with the College Board website and also consider utilizing Khan Academy for tutorial help, not only in classes that may be difficult in school, but also for the PSAT and SAT. It is a really great free resource for students. Also, when we receive your College Board accounts and your test scores, we will return your actual test booklet from the test day so that you can look through at your actual book and see any mistakes that you may have made and improve. Students will need to open a College Board account with the same email address that they used on their PSAT 10 registration, and I will send detailed information to you about how to do that in a college counseling newsletter this spring. So there's no need to worry about creating that College Board account just yet. So truly the very, very, very best way to prepare really starts in school. I often ask thespians if they would go out and perform a play without rehearsals, or football players if they'd run a play without ever having gone to practice. It's really no different. School has a purpose just like sport or play practice has a purpose. It's instilling confidence. It allows you to breathe a little easier on tests knowing that you're better prepared. Whether that test is a quiz on a Friday in Spanish class or the SAT on a cold Saturday morning. So the best way to prepare for these tests is to read. Whether you're reading Catcher in the Rye with Miss Bell or your favorite magazine, students need to be reading. You need to be taking appropriately challenging courses, doing your homework, and getting into really healthy habits. Ask a lot of questions and answer as many questions, because high school is truly a time to build a strong academic foundation and form habits and learn disciplines that will trickle over into a healthy and successful adult life. So, we will take care of everything with the PSAT, except for the taking the test part. And the first step is the pre-administration. So sophomores will meet us in the library during break on Friday, March 3rd to complete the first portion of registration so that we can hit the ground running on March 8th. They need to be sure to bring a number 2 pencil on registration day as well as on test day. And mechanical pencils are not allowed in registration or on the test. They also need to remember to bring a calculator for use on the math section, and we will send out a reminder email to students and parents prior to test day. So while it takes a great deal of energy and thought to build a house, and the idea of how it's all going to happen is a bit much to process right now, take it step by step. Consider that by the end of this school year, we will have raised some necessary support walls with U Science and the PSAT 10. Junior year will be all about constructing the roof and solidifying the core of this house so that during the senior year and application process, we get to paint, decorate, and do a little landscaping. And then we can put that for sale sign in the yard. So while it is all overwhelming, please rest assured that Mrs. Vaughn and I will help you and be with you every step of the way. So for now, I'm going to check the Q&A and see if we have any questions. So if you have any questions, please submit them to the Q&A now. And I'll answer those and then we will wrap up. So one participant asked if are certain calculators required for the PSAT. For example, are some calculators excluded from the testing room? So that's a great question. College Board gives us a list of approved calculators, as does the ACT for that test. You can find that on their website now if you put that into the search tool, but we will also send that information home with the reminder email. When the students are taking the test, the proctor will give them specific instructions to put their calculator on the ground or that they can have it on their desk. So that's all explained during the testing. The next question was, will you be sending out a copy of these slides? Yes, this is being recorded, and so we will send out a link with the recording so that you all have access to this anytime, at any point. The next question is there a class provided in the community to help prepare for the SAT? And do we have a similar one here in Augusta? There are a number of different tutors in the area, and we this year began a SAT and ACT prep class that meets. They've met 6 times over the last semester to prepare for these spring tests with the juniors. There is a cost to that. We've partnered with Mays College Consulting out in Evans, and they have classes on campus at Augusta Prep. And that is through Amber Cornett and the enrichment program. So we will send plenty of information about that. Any other questions? Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. I'll also send out a survey and welcome any feedback. This was the first time I've ever done a webinar, and it seemed to go all right. So I hope that that was informative. And if you have any questions after we end tonight, please feel free to email me at ivey.harrison@augustaprep.org, or you can email Marcia at marsha.vaughn, V-A-U-G-H-N, at augustaprep.org, and we would be happy to answer any other questions you have. Thank y'all so much. Have a great night.